Alrighty, welcome back to another episode of Tackle and Tacos. This particular one is episode 21. Yeah, kind of crazy to think 21 weeks of this nonsense and crazy talk.
Crazy.
So yeah, I'm stoked. So like we said, episode 21. We had an awesome guest, somebody who is. I'm gonna say I'm probably gonna go out there and say like world renowned, not only in the podcast world, but in the batching world also. So I'm pretty stoked to have him on as a guest, and I think we're lucky to have him. So go ahead and let us know who it is, Jordan. Who do we have on the podcast?
We have Barack Obama on tonight, and it's going to be dope. We're going to talk to him about basketball and the way that he says his words and his cadence and how he gaps out. We have better than that, man. We got Luke Dunkin on the podcast tonight. And this is legit. This is one of the dudes that when we came up with the podcast, there was like a whole list of people we wanted. And this is this is not a joke, even though it sounds really funny. We have like this list of like kind of like moonshot, like there's no way you're getting these people on. And I think he was on that list right next to, not kidding, The Rock, because The Rock is a big bass fisherman.
That's actually
true.
So
you have like The Rock and Luke Dunkin. Same body shape, same, you know what I'm saying, fame,
facial
all that. Yeah,
all
dude.
things.
So we just figured it made sense to get homeboy on. But we've been trying to line this up with him for a while, and this cat is busy, does a million things.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, super understatement. And so to even have him carve out a little bit of time for us, we are so pumped to have him on. This is one of the realest dudes out there. And people say that all the time, but this is also that dude that if he was like a football player in a post-game press conference, he'd be like, that defensive end on the other team, he's a piece of crap. Like he would just shoot so straight and just be so
appreciate that about
real.
him.
And so we're excited to just see where this goes. We have questions written down, but I'm sure it'll flow its own direction. And before we get there, we're really excited, like always, to be working with the boys over at Working Class Bow Hunter. For people who don't know, I've known Kurt and those guys and Nate has too. I mean, we kind of all became friends together working at Gander Mountain 12 years ago. I don't know. I mean, it's been forever. I remember Kurt first saying to me, like, I want to start a podcast. And I was like, what's that? Like, I don't know if I even knew what that was. They've been doing it so long. And so like to see their success now, like this is Kurt's full-time job is doing this, and they've earned it. He's worked his butt off for it. It's awesome. So we're stoked to be a part of their network, along with CC Hunt Files, along with the Deercast stuff that they're doing with Drury Outdoors, Victory Drive. And it's super dope. Our title sponsor, our head sponsor, is Grizzly Coolers out of Decorah. I always thought it was but our guest last week said Decorah, and that's where he's from. So
Decorah.
He said Decorah the whole time. Oh. Is that right, Nate? Decorah, Iowa?
He did, yeah. I believe it is Decorah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Decorah.
I don't think
he would know, right?
Space it out quite as much, but yeah.
Yeah, Colin would know. Colin Tweeten is from there. So we'll say from Decorah. So Grizzly and Kenai Coolers, just solid stuff. I mean, we can get into it, but it's just really great, solid stuff. I'm drinking out of the cup. Nate's drinking out of the cup. We got the red cooler here. Lola's drinking out of the Grizzly cup. They just make solid stuff. Great coolers, great prices, super durable, great warranties, stuff specifically for anglers with the whole Kenai lineup. Giltech, makers of, no doubt about it, in my opinion, the best swim jigs out there, which is saying something because there's some really, really dope swim jigs out there. But my word is my bond. I'm not just making stuff up. If you were like, you want to rock this like Mega Bass swim jig, like the Uozi or whatever that one is with the little underspin on it, or the Giltech, I would choose Giltech 10 times out of 10. They swim straight. The hooks are awesome, incredible colors, and you can only get that junk at hookandarrowsupply.com, which is kind of our co-sponsor with Giltech, and shout out to them. If you're in that area, kind of north of Green Bay, kind of to the east of like the middle line of Wisconsin, they have a pretty legit bow tech now. So we're really getting close to bow season here in Wisconsin, middle of September. Yeah, I can't wait to get out there. Every year my goal is the same and it never works, but my goal is to shoot a deer, like a good buck, right out of the jump and then go back to bass fishing. And every year I pass on.
I was going to say, it's because you pass on them.
I pass on 1,000, 120, 125 inch bucks, and then I have tag soup for dinner at the end of season, and I don't bass fish. So this year,
right? Yeah.
This year I'm shooting a buck if it comes close, even if he's not like magazine cover status anyway. So yeah.
You'll do it.
You don't believe me, do
I
you?
believe you.
No, you
with
don't.
my whole heart.
No, you don't. Waypoint TV. You can find us on there. Waypoint's the dopest. Luke is on Waypoint as well. Again, super dope app, TV, phone, whatever. The website Waypoint TV, and our socials, of course. Tackle and Tacos, just across the board. Whether that's Facebook, YourTurb, Instagram, tackleandtacos.com is the link, the website. And you can contact us on there. We have email on there. We've asked for it a few times. Dude, if you got some taco recipes, it's not just a cute little side gimmick of our deal. Like, yes, we're like 95% fishing, but we love tacos. Like we actually eat tacos all the time. And that's part of why we named it this, because we care about tackle. We care about fishing. We love tacos.
We care about tacos.
We care about them.
With my whole heart.
In the
Wholehearted, yeah.
He's singing again, Nate.
What's that song that when like the puppies on the TV?
Yeah.
We should do that, but like have somebody like eating a taco in slow motion, like real sad about it or something.
Why would they be sad?
I feel like this is going to get. I feel like this is going to be like an every episode thing, because I think we're working on 3 with like a feature from Jordan.
I know.
Well, I'm not Luke. I can't actually sing.
He actually can.
Well, not like that.
But
yeah, not like that. But who is that? Sarah McLachlan? We should have her on here. She can talk about tacos and sing that song.
Okay,
that'd be so.
Let's try. That'd be awesome.
That'd be really pretty.
That'd be so funny.
Yeah, that would.
And random.
It'd be really funny to get people on our podcast who don't know anything about us somehow. Yeah, and then just like sabotage them with stupid questions, and they'd be like, "What am I doing here?"
Be like, you're living the dream.
Like when people just get up and walk out of interviews.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Sarah.
Get a taco on the way home. Bye.
Appreciate you.
Anyway.
All right, so let's get after it. We're really pumped about this. I mean, every guest we've had on, whether it's somebody who's well known like Luke, or it's last week Colin Tweeton, who is definitely a friend now.
For sure.
Just people who we respect, the LaFonts, who will be a part of the super long podcast that's coming out tomorrow in real world.
Did you say real wife?
Real wife in the wheel wife.
In the wheel wife world.
Of a 2-day Dobie that we're going to have on tomorrow. Like, we're just pumped to have people on here that we want to talk to. And that's kind of the dope thing about our podcast, and it will forever stay this way. I would rather do this than like make a bunch of money on it and change it. Remember that movie Wayne's World where they get corporate sponsorship and then they're like forced to like record with people that they don't actually want on their show? I would never do that. I would rather have people on our show that we want to talk to, and this dude is definitely one of those.
Yep,
so
right up there.
So this feller has a wildly successful fishing podcast, Low Budget Live. He commentates on the NPFL, which we'll talk to him about, because I feel like that has to be the scariest thing ever, even if you're good at talking, to fill up 8-9 hours of live, to have potential like as they call them in the business, gremlins or just audio issues. My gosh, that just sounds crazy. His YouTube channel, he has like 20,000 subscribers. He works for TH Marine. He's a singer, songwriter, has a music career. He has a family, and yet he carved out time for us tonight. So we'll bring him in, and we're so honored to have Luke Dunkin on the show.
Yeah! Woohoo!
Now, I'm here, and I get, we've got this list, right? This dream list, and I get mentioned with The Rock.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
What to think about that? But I've got one of those dream lists too, and you gotta shoot your shot. You know, you gotta shoot your shot. But I don't deserve to be on that list, though. I will say
you do to us. Yeah, you do to us. Who's on your list? Who's on your dream list?
Well, man. So Fat Cat Newton gives me a really hard time about this, but I've shot my shot at like Theo Vaughn like multiple times.
Snap. That'd be a good one. Yeah.
But he lives in Nashville now. So it's like an hour and a half up the road. And I've listened to Theo forever and ever and ever. And he was talking about on the show one day, he went bass fishing with this random fan that just hit him up on Instagram. And I'm like, well, time out. I also bass fish and I have a podcast. So I'm like, Theo. And I'm not the DM guy. Like, that's just not my deal, because it falls on deaf ears, right, for people like that. But I did, embarrassingly enough, I have shot my shot at Theo Vaughn a couple times on social media. And obviously you guys would know if he had been willing to do this live.
Yeah. What was he? Was he on Meat Eater? Was Theo Vaughn on Meat Eater? No, was he on Drury's? Who did he go out with?
No, he went Michael Waddell turkey hunting this year.
Oh, Waddell, that's what it was. Yeah, he went turkey hunting with Waddell. That's right. That's a funny combo for sure.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic, man. But he seems like a real down to earth guy. But he moved, had right up the road, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna shoot my shot.
I've always wondered about that. People who are like kind of famous or internet famous. Lola and I know a guy pretty well on YouTube. His name is Cletus McFarland. He's like a race car builder guy, whatever, millions of subscribers. His real name's Garrett, but like he's the same dude as he ever was, but he's just 100 times busier. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe the people don't change, but their schedule just gets like super bloated. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think it becomes a bandwidth issue too, right? And I think when a lot of people say, "Oh, that guy changed because of this, that, or the other," I think a lot of times, like, yeah, your life changes, but I think as far as a person, you get so busy that the things you've always done, you kind of leave by the wayside, unfortunately. And I think that's where you get those, those kind of comments.
Yeah, you kind of have to have like a stricter like priority
for sure
thing.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. So the way that we like to do this, Mr. Traveling Circus, Mr. Luke Dunkin, is we will kind of walk you through our categories of questions that we kind of have grouped up and lumped up. And then obviously this is a conversation, so it can go however it goes. But you pick a category, and then we'll run through some questions on it, and then we'll take it from there. Is that all right with you?
Sounds good to me.
So, all right.
Okay. Okay. Our categories.
That was such a good category voice.
Thank you so much.
That was a very great category voice.
Thank you so much. Life, tacos, questions about podcasts or podcasting, Luke-specific questions.
What do you think?
I think just because of the title of the show, and I'm intrigued by your love of tacos. Tacos, because you don't look like me and not love tacos as well.
Okay. Yeah. Smart man. Yeah. You know what's really funny is like when we came up with this name, we were unsure, like, should we really go with it? And I don't know if you've followed anything we've really done, Luke, but a long time ago, Lola and I were going to start a tackle shop in our hometown, which is right on the Mississippi River. Well, not our hometown, but where we lived at the time, on the Mississippi River. And I wanted it to be like really, have you heard of the hookup in Arizona? I think it is like that real.
Have I heard? My American Express has heard of it.
Yeah, dude. Seriously. Yeah. So I kind of wanted it to be like a scaled down version of that, like really specific, high end JDM, like really well put together, dope shop, cool vibes. And then also every day we would make one taco to sell. Like today is shrimp tacos. This Friday is barbacoa tacos, or like kind of good, not fancy, but just good tacos. And we were going to call it the Spot, SPOTT, and the T and T stood for tackle and tacos. So then when we started a podcast, like we were struggling, like you and I, when we were talking before, like it's hard to kind of make it unique without being like cliche or corny with it. In the podcast world right now, there's just so many podcasts. Yeah. And then Lola was like, well, why don't we just call it Tackle and Tacos? We were going to do that before. And then when we went with it, I'm just surprised at how many people are cool with it. I thought people were going to be like, I don't really want to go to a show called Tackle and Tacos, but everybody's been like, dude, I love tacos.
Yeah. And this is unique. And it's like, yay.
So hopefully soon we'll be famous and we can forget about everyone.
Stop it.
But until we get there, we'll just keep our head down.
Oh my gosh.
Keep grinding away in the taco game. I'm with it.
That's exactly right. All right, let's go.
Okay. Do you want to ask you go.
Yeah, we typically start with what was the last taco you had? Can you how long ago was it, and what was it exactly?
Dude, I would eat tacos daily. Okay, every other food can just get out of here, to be honest. But so I have this was 2 days ago. It's my last taco, but I have a newfound obsession. There are 2 Mexican food trucks in my hometown, and shout out Taqueria. And I've got my sound effects right there. I hit the button. Yeah. That was my bleep button. Wrong button. I wasn't messing with but I haven't discovered. Have you ever had quesadillas? Have you ever had that in your life?
No, but I know what it is. And the dude at my work is his dad. Well, he's Mexican, but his dad is like fully Mexican, and he's like, we had queso birria tacos. And I'm like, what is that? He's like, it's like a quesadilla with a birria taco. Yeah, no, I have to have it.
Yeah.
Get your life together. It's like they take
the
shell and then they deep fry it. And then it's almost like like a French dip sandwich.
Yeah.
They take the leftover sauce, basically, or au jus, and put it to the side, and you dip that quesadilla in. I'm getting excited. I gotta say that. But listen, I'm a fat boy. I like to eat.
Yeah,
But
I love it.
I never had it, and this guy suggested it, and now I'm like constantly on the lookout. Every Mexican place I go to, like, do you have quesadilla?
Gummit,
and then I judged it very harshly if they don't have it on the menu.
Well, yeah.
Not even real,
man.
man.
Yeah, that's the way you got to do it.
Lame.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, you could almost skip that next question because he basically just answered it.
So that's one of the best tacos you've had then. Yeah.
Hands down, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gosh, dog, that's the one thing. Like, we live in a really small town. Like, I think our city here, Luke, is like 800 people.
I think it's 1,500.
Is it that big?
Maybe 1,200.
I mean, we ain't got no quesadilla tacos here. Like, it ain't happening unless we make them. Yeah, unless we throw them on the grill or the whatever. But yeah. We don't.
It's remarkable that we do in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, as well. Trust me, it's not that big, but we do. We got two of those jokers. Man. One is the other.
Yeah. Jeez, you're living the life, dude.
Seriously.
Yeah, seriously. Let me ask you this. Do you care about the whole concept? This always makes me laugh, especially as it relates to white people. But when we get into the concept of authentic tacos, like, I don't know why that makes me laugh. Like when Dave says to like his wife, Susie, like, these aren't even authentic. I'm like, dude, you don't know anything. You're from Northern Indiana, homie. Like, you don't know anything about authentic. Do you care about that whole game at all, Luke?
No, dude, listen, just because you went to Cancun to an all-inclusive and you feel like
I was just gonna say that.
Like, you don't know what authentic anything outside of this country is. Like, if you think, I mean, if pizza is Italian food to you, we can't have a conversation.
Yeah, come on, dude.
I'm not like, I'm a food snob at times, but like more like a restaurant, like a foodie. I won't even say food snob, but like I like really good food, but I don't get all pretentious with it in the way of, well, these aren't authentic at all.
Yeah. Dude, that is pretentious. That's the right word.
Yeah.
Like, this is delicious. Like,
it's good.
Yeah, like that's it.
Thank you.
Like, I like it. My mouth likes how it tastes.
Cool. Yeah, we are the same.
Yeah,
I don't care.
That's the biggest thing is if it tastes good, that's all that matters. You know?
Yeah,
dude.
Like, I don't need to know.
Like you said, like guys back up. You know?
That's like
for sure. So, what is it for you that can ruin a taco right off the bat? Like,
oh, that's a good one.
One thing that just you're done. No, thank you.
Okay, well, I'm gonna tell on myself. I am an absolute just sissy when it comes to spice. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not a spice guy. I never have been. I don't mind the flavor of like some hot sauces, but I'm also trying to like,
ouch.
It's not like down my shirt and also not be able to touch my eyes. And there's a place in my hometown, another Mexican joint that they have some really good tacos, and they do carnitas there, which I really love too. And one night they put this, and I've ordered this 10,000 times, I feel like, and they put this ridiculous hot sauce on it one night, and that's a really
one time
way to get me to just not have fun really fast. And I think maybe that my wife paid them to do that, or my children, but not very reaction. They still talk about it to this day. But
that's funny.
I don't mind certain hot sauce, but some of them, it's just too much. Like, if I can't,
I totally agree.
After, then no, get it out of here.
Yeah, I don't want to sweat when I'm eating something. I don't want snot dripping down my face. Like, I don't want my lips to be so tingly that the food isn't enjoyable.
That's right.
No thanks.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So I got
heat for sure.
I got a quick story that kind of relates to that pretty well. So my boss at work wanted to take me out as like a thank you. You've been doing a great job. Here's a thank you. I want to take you for lunch. Just me and you will go out to lunch. So I'm like, okay. Right down the street is one of my favorite Mexican spots. Let's go there, and we'll have lunch there. I'm talking about La Rosa. Yes.
Yeah,
and,
dude.
Shout out La Rosa. But one of the reasons that I absolutely love them is they have this hot sauce. It's like ranchero hot sauce or something. It's super flavorful, but pretty dang spicy. Like, it's got some good kick to it, and I absolutely love it. and he orders the ranchero burrito, which has hot sauce all in it. And he eating it, and I'm eating my steak tacos with my my hot sauces on it. And I look up from taking a bite, and we've been chit chatting or whatever. I look up, and he's pouring sweat.
Oh my gosh!
Just raining down his face, just pouring sweat. And I'm like, you all right? You like it, or what do you think? He's like, oh man, this is so good. As he's like cutting his bite like 2 inches big with his fork, like just nibbling it. It was absolutely funny. But I'm a spice guy, so that's kind of why I thought about that.
Why is that, by the way? Because I'm a pretty big spice guy too, and when I say that, I feel a little more masculine. That's the dumbest thing you could possibly feel masculine about. Yeah. Why do we do that?
100%, yeah.
I was just gonna say I'm not really a spice girl, and then I realized Spice Girl, and that's oh no, yeah, those were not. Oh my gosh,
I feel like I was close on the cadence.
There it is.
All right, group, man, you were close.
Yeah. Thank you. I don't really want to be like spot on. Verbatim. Well, I don't want to be verbatim with that. If it was like a dope track,
I mean, I could be verbatim with it, but it's not happening right now.
All I know is when they say zig a zig ah, what are they talking about?
Listen, it was a hit. Regardless, doesn't matter. It doesn't have. Jill Swindle once told me it does not have to make sense, Luke. It just has to work. That's all you need to know.
Hey, gum. That's a quote right there.
I'm gonna put that on a shirt.
I'm gonna tattoo that on my lower back.
I already did.
He will probably.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
He's probably got it on a shirt already.
I was gonna say he's probably got it on a shirt. He's coming out all new.
He does. Yeah, he's been on that Pollinate kick, yo. A whole bunch of like shirts and hats and like PMA stuff all the time, and I'm not mad at him.
It's hard to help the elderly, and I try, but get through to him. And he was like, "You want a little rainbow of sunshine? Don't use your LifeSco or something." He was trying to inspire me, and I just texted him and was like, "Please stop with this nonsense."
Please don't say that.
Please stop. Whatever. So he's obviously a good friend of mine, but the shirts, I'm like, come on, buddy, because he's the biggest butthole I know about half the
That's amazing.
He's just so angry. He's like this old grumpy ass dude now. And he's like, PMA, you can find some, positive mental attitude. I'm like, get out of here with your sales tactics.
Grumpy old hypocrite. That's funny. That's really funny.
Like, get out of here. Get out of my lawn. Off my lawn, you freaking punks.
Buy my PMA hat, though. Yeah.
Going ham about all kind of stuff. And I'm just like this.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome. I love that.
That's so funny. Do you, back to tacos. Yeah. Do you like to cook? I mean, I guess it doesn't have to just be tacos, but like in general, do you like cooking, or is it your wife that does the cooking, or do you share that?
No, we are about 90% Luke Dunkin when things get cooked around here.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got I love to grill, obviously, but I like just really trying new stuff too. Like I like to. I would have loved to have gone to culinary school. Fun fact.
Wow,
that's cool.
Yeah, like I'm intrigued, and I think that's that creative mind thing, maybe from the music.
Totally. You can get really creative.
I love watching, food shows and seeing how people come up with so many different unique things that, like how they know this goes with this when it's too random. You know what I mean? Like two different,
for sure,
you would never think of, or a fruit that goes with something savory, and you're like, why does that even make sense? I love that aspect of it, but my dad is actually a really, really, well known around here barbecue competition guy.
I guess we got to go down there.
Yeah, gosh, I love barbecue.
He's retired from that now, but he had a food truck for a little bit at special events around here. But he cooked like the big Jack Daniel's World Championship and some things like. Yeah, he cooked all over the Southeast. My mom used to go with him. I didn't get all of that from him, though. I'll be honest. But man, like his brisket and ribs, and it's mainly ribs, chicken, pulled pork. But and it was always amazing to me being a kid and watching him, because he'd be like just grabbing this rub or this season and just
is that how you do it?
Yeah, are you the same way? Are you?
I just send it.
Experiment. Yeah,
that's perfect. Yeah. I don't like recipes personally.
Yeah. Every once in a while I'll look at a recipe and I'll be like, thanks for the suggestion. And then I'll kind of do my own thing.
Yeah. Direction sort of.
Yeah.
That's what's fun about it, right? Like you can experiment. And I love to cook. So my wife's she's good. She's really good, especially at baking. But I'm saying 90%. Yeah, 90% when I'm home.
What is it for our house? Is our house
at my house?
Yeah, I was thinking that too. For Nate, it has to be close to that. What is it for ours, you think?
Well, when I don't know, when it's like big meals or whatever, I feel like I do. Well, you're like the grill master.
Yeah, more like the barbecue, like he was saying, like ribs and
if I'm like meal planning, like this summer for like a week at a time with the kids, I'm like, okay, these are the dinner plans, like because you're working. So I don't know, but you do cook a lot. Like sometimes I'll be like, honey, I don't have much to give when you're home from work. I'm like, I need you. And he's like, I got it. Don't worry. He'll pick up stuff and he'll make dinner.
It's usually tacos.
And it's easy and wonderful and tasty.
Do something creative. But that's like what Luke was saying. That's one of my favorite things about it too, is figuring out what flavors work together and like why. We watch a lot of like cooking shows on Netflix. I don't know if you ever seen that show, Somebody Feed Phil. That show is The Jam.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
That shows The Jam, Taco Chronicles, or like Chef's Table Barbecue. That was a super dope series. I don't know if you saw that one, Luke. There's this, what was her daggum name? That lady who was like 150 years old. Tootsie. She won like best barbecue in Texas for snow barbecue, and she would like have this giant, smoker, like offset wood smoker, and every time I make a brisket, I'm like super nervous I'm gonna ruin it.
She's
doing she's doing like 40 at once, and she goes over to the grill and she's like, yeah, that's the right temperature.
She like touches it.
I'm like, my gosh,
that's right.
Yeah, I'm not on that level yet, but that stuff is so intriguing to me. I love that crap.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, dude.
Diners, drive-ins, and dives is another like guilty pleasure.
Yeah, Guy Fieri is such a dork, but I feel like he's such a cool cat too.
I like him.
Yeah, I would definitely want to have him on LBL. I think that would be a good time. And he is a complete dork. Complete dork.
What's the best?
But he's like unashamedly himself.
I was gonna say he's genuine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not all about like the puka shell necklaces and the highlights, but I mean
and the sweatbands that were cool when I was like a freshman in high school.
For like 10 minutes.
Big leather strap fossil watches. I'm like, dude, where'd you even find that, dude? Yeah. But no judgment. Just he's being authentic. Even if he's authentically sort of played out. Like he's doing it.
Flavor Town, man. He's
Flavor Town, dude. Yeah. All right, so let's go podcast questions.
Okay.
Like questions about podcasts, and you don't have to like name specific ones, but you can if you want. The first question is, what to you makes a podcast good? Not like any specific one, but just like in general terms. Is it the guests? Is it the host? Is it audio quality? Is it, I don't know, like what makes a podcast good?
Well, I think that, so I used to be a big talk radio guy, like XM radio back in the day. I used to listen to a show called Opie and Anthony all the time, and they were shock jocks for a while, and then it turned into more of like the interview type thing. So you got to learn so much about different celebrities or stand-up comedians, and that really kind of started my love for podcasts. And that's going back way back when I was in college, 20 plus years ago. And then that kind of fizzled out, and then that's around the time Rogan started kind of gaining popularity in the podcast thing. And I was driving so much for TH Marine, and then when I started, fishing the tour, it was just always on the road. And even though I love music, I don't like listening to music on a long road trip that much. Like I'll break it up some, but I love podcasts, and that's where I kind of just fell in love with like Bill Burr and Joe Rogan, and then that led me to like Theo Vaughn. There have been so many I've listened to over the years, but really to me it's twofold. I think you've got to have a host that can really carry it, right? And I think that's why Rogan is so big, is he can talk about anything under the sun, and talk about it with a passion and carry that. So I think that's the obvious pick for so many people. But I think it's for me to be the perfect show, it's got to have the right host and guest. I had somebody tell me one time in an insulting type way, they're like, well, your views are really, like a roller coaster depending on who you have on. And I'm like, well, yeah, But they were trying to insult me with that. Like, well, you don't have the same amount of views every week. And I'm like, well, there's a core base, but then it does change depending on the guest, right? And I think so the guest is equally as important as the host, because I could say, and listen, I will say some of my most popular episodes are when I go on a tangent. I don't have a guest, I just run my mouth into a microphone for an hour. But I also don't think that people would just tune in to listen to me talk for an hour just about nothing, at the same time. So I think having a good guest certainly helps. And audio, like you said, audio quality does matter. But to me, like I can remember a Rogan they recorded on an airplane, like on an iPhone, and it was terrible quality, but it was
still engaging.
Yeah, it was engaging because of the situation. You can hear the just the noises in the background, but sometimes I think that works as well.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. What do you think about theme music?
About what?
Theme music.
Theme music. Well,
like openers. Like
I kind of burned that into the ground, obviously. And I have people that split, man. They're 50-50. They're like, never play that again, and please don't stop playing that, because I did for like 2 episodes lately.
Yeah, and you went back.
And people were like,
I was just
they were kind of losing it. It was funny, like for me, because I get bored with it. But I will say, for how the intro is done, it just kind of fits, like in its little
good mood.
Yeah, it's a good, but because fun fact, like when I started in 2018, 17, doing this on no, maybe it was like 19 when I started doing it on iTunes, late 18, early 19. I was using, before I did it on YouTube, I was using everybody else's songs. And I was opening the show and I was going, hey, check this out. This is a new album for Tyler Childers, or this is new from blah, 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 or this is one I've been listening to this week that's an old album, but you should go check out this Ryan Bingham song, or whatever the case was. But when I went to YouTube, obviously, because of the copyright stuff, they would pull the episode. So I'm like, I know a guy that's got a couple songs. Alexi Blues almost started as a joke. And then people, because I'm like, I wanted to start the show with music. And then just because I love music, but then it kind of turned into whatever the weird thing that it is now, that I can't stray away from it without getting yelled at by more people than like the new song. But I've got so many friends now that play music for a living and different things that have actual popular songs that I could probably get the rights to. But then I almost feel like I'm cheating on Biloxi Blues.
Cheat on your own song.
Right, yeah.
But I'll tell you, like going back to like Opie and Anthony, they used to do, oh my goodness, it was in a Clint Eastwood movie. Oh my goodness, I should know the name of this, but it's like I want to Google it, but I'm not going to. But that every one of their shows started, and it was like this dramatic like build, and then they would do like there was like 30 seconds of old clips that they would play, and I loved that so much. So I do love an intro. It's just the same. It's like Rogan's little deal he does at the beginning. Theo Vaughn has had a couple different songs he's kind of stuck with over time. I love that.
Yeah. Fair enough, for sure.
To kind of play off of the changing of the song a little bit. How's the reception of the new backdrop been so far? Have you gotten any comments or feedbacks or anything on it yet?
Yeah. So today I had a guy say, "Bring back the banner," which I thought was funny. Because I yelled at about too many sponsor ads all the time. So I had that, and then but the first comment on this today's show said, "My man has gone and bought Rogan's old studio." And I was like, listen, into the same, I'm 4 feet away from where I've always done it. But no, it's funny. I bring up Fat Cat again. He pushes me in life. He's like that friend of mine that will tell you you suck. And he's always like, dude, I'm tired of staring at that banner and you got to change some things up. And I know not jack about, lighting and I won't pretend to. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos. I'm trying to get better at it. I need to add a lot of things, but yeah, I think it's been okay. Listen, if you're tuning in to look at me, like I can't help you, ultimately, I can't help you, but the YouTube numbers are always stronger than the actual audio numbers. So people must enjoy for some reason. I don't know, maybe it's more accessible to them or something, but
it is weird, right? But it is very 2023, whatever. People like to watch people talk, and that sounds weird, but it's a thing.
Well, it's like, and you guys doing this through the, video chat thing. I do those. I sprinkle those in. I don't like the audio quality as much. We talked about that before the show a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny to me that I just put a picture of a guy up, whoever I'm interviewing, and just do a little goofy description.
And you do a funny picture every time too, which is really funny.
I try to, and I try to do a dumb title about, who they are.
Yeah. Mule rider and champion, or whatever you said about Cifuentes.
Maybe. I forget who I said that about, but what I'll tell you a funny one on that real fast, not to completely derail, but during the height of like MLF really hating my guts.
Yeah.
So James Watson is a dear friend. He always comes on no matter what's going on. And obviously that's where he fishes. And he had been over there on the Bass Pro Tour, and there was a lot of crazy going on. And they were coming at me. This is around the time that their main guy at the time tried to get me fired from TH Marine. Like, he tried multiple times. And so it was really heated. And I had James on, and I put, because he was like defending MLF, and I put loves MILFs under it. And James is like good to go, right? Like, James is one of the funniest people on planet Earth.
Yeah, for sure.
Gary Klein, James called me like 2 days later to tell me that Gary Klein goes, James, I can't believe you did that show. And he goes, did you see what he said under your name?
Yeah.
Like, what? And he goes, he said you love MILFs. And he's like, I do. I love MILFs.
Right, he's not lying. Yeah.
Right. You know what that means, James? He's making fun of us. So it was
making fun of us.
It was one of my favorite things that's ever happened, because Gary Klein was like this childhood bass fishing hero of mine.
Yeah. Now he hates you.
Now he just doesn't like me. So love you, miss you, Gary.
Yeah. That's really funny. I respect Nate and I were talking about that before this podcast. I respect the crap out of James Watson for what he said about the whole Cayuga thing. And we haven't even got to go down that path, but what he said about, in that meeting, how people were talking, and he just stood up and went like full blown, like drill sergeant, because I feel the same way. I just, and I'm nowhere near his level, but when I hear about dudes cheating and fishing, and in Wisconsin, I can't remember when it was, my home state, a couple years ago, last year, there was a college guy, a couple of guys who got caught pulling fish out of a cage by the DNR. And when the DNR got up to him, they said, oh, our live well broke down. Or it's like, I hate the whole thing. Or going flipping for a fish that freaking well is the same fish twice, but because you catch and release, whatever, like, and the fact that he stood up for it, even within the organization he's a part of, I thought that took so much integrity. And for him to be on your show and just be vocal about it, I'm definitely a fan of his now, for sure.
And to be fair with James, like, he came on to be vocal about that, but I've also had episodes with him where there was misinformation coming out about MLF, and he's always a straight shooter. And I shoot him a text and say, hey, is this going on? And he'll come on and go, hey, you're wrong on all of this, and this is why. And that's why I've always, really respected him, that he always tells it like it is. There's not a lot of fluff there. And James is, again, he's a hilarious guy. He's a larger than life character, but he's a straight shooter, man. That former military background, like he'll tell you exactly what he's thinking more times than not.
Yeah, we were talking about that before this podcast. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nate.
I was just going to say, maybe the best thing about him is his body hasn't let him down yet, so he hasn't been able to make bad decisions or anything. So
failures, your body failure, man. Be careful. My body fails me all the time. That's what I said on the show. My body fails me, but it ain't never failed a damn polygraph.
Dang. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Down to my level. I'm sorry. We were talking about tacos. It was fun. Now you're going to get canceled.
And now we're all a part of the ship that's going down, which is fine. We're so new in this thing. We'll just come up with a new name and relaunch. Nobody will know any better. You're totally screwed. You're way too known.
Thurston Bass next week.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, which that's been done before too. But anyway, the whole like rebrand thing over and over until it sticks. But anyway, Lola was sans our podcast for a minute. She had to go in on some baby duty. Our littlest boy, Gus, was giving heck.
Yep.
And Lola had to go in and quell the situation. So we're on the podcast questions, Lola. We've been talking about like what makes a podcast good. Then we got off on kind of a kind of natural tangent. But yeah, jump off with that last one, would you? Let's see.
Okay, yeah.
I am curious about this because I feel like there's so many that are either or. Yeah.
What's better, a short podcast or a long podcast?
I spend so much time in the truck. I love a long podcast.
Yeah.
I did a 2
hour.
hour.
I hear that a lot.
You know, for me, the ones that happen to be really long, like this week's with Wesley Strader and Brad Knight, I had no idea we've been talking for 2 hours. I love those.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same as long as it's not forced. Like some of my favorite podcasts are like 2 and 3 hours long, and you don't realize it.
Yeah, Rogan's are super long sometimes.
Yeah, but they're so organic. And you know what I mean? With the right guests, like there's certainly some people that I'm not going to listen to for 3 or 4 hours, but he's had a lot of guests over the years. I remember he did one with Sturgill Simpson one time. It was like the first one he ever did with Sturgill, and there wasn't a lot of out there interview wise on Sturgill at the time. He did like 3 hours with Rogan, and it was incredible, man. Yeah. And I think as long as the conversation's flowing, like yesterday when we stopped recording, me, Brad, and Wes, because Strader realized we'd been going for 2 hours and kind of said something about it. And I guess he had, something to do with his
How dare he
stare at me on Zoom. And Brad Knight's like, dude, I'm just getting started. Like, I think we could have gone no joke, another hour longer. Kind of getting ramped up, but the W cut us off. But yeah, a long podcast, like my long. Sorry, Lola.
No, that's good. I mean, I'm really curious about that because, like, obviously I don't think it's even like debatable. Joe Rogan is the king of all podcasts, right? Like the contract he got through Spotify, the people he gets on his show, which I also really respect that he has people on his show that don't always share the same views. I think that's pretty dope. But they'll be 4 hours long, like literally 4. Like he'll have Jordan Peterson on there, and it'll go for 3.5 hours, and it's like what like. And I'm always thinking to myself, like, I remember back in the day on YouTube, like you couldn't really get plugged into the algorithm if you had long videos because people wanted to get in and get out. And now it's sort of the opposite. Yeah. So I feel like it's sort of true for podcasts too.
Yeah. I think the algorithm on YouTube is changing. I think they tried to do the TikTok thing with those shorts, and I don't think it went that well. And from what I'm seeing now and the way I feel, that viewer, that duration is a big deal right now. Mm-hmm. And look, I've got an average of like 30 minutes viewer duration, which blows my mind because I shoot for an hour each week. I do like my spiel, whatever that may be. And then the interviews, I try to, there are a lot of them that I don't think will go 30 minutes with somebody. And then we kind of hit never know. I have a lot where I'm like looking, you'll see me actually on video, like I tap my phone to see how long it's been going. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's 7 minutes. But then we end up for an hour, you kind of hit a ride with somebody at a certain point. But I shoot for around an hour just because that's what, like I said, that's what I enjoy, that long form deal.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's great. Can I ask life questions or are we still on podcasting?
Will you ask me that one question?
Sorry.
It's like the third question down on podcast. I'm really curious on this one.
Sorry, I didn't know how far you got into podcasting.
Oh, it's all good.
I just want to know about your life.
So like so we've talked about kind of what makes good podcasts. What is something that turns you off of a podcast? What is it other than maybe the guest or something like that that will lose your engagement like right away?
Well,
we're talking like audio quality, like I said, the guests or
no, because like I said, I'll suffer through some audio quality if the guest is somebody that I really want to hear from. I'll definitely do that. I would say for me, it's probably comes down to the guest, honestly, because I'm not like a loyal Joe Rogan guy, right? Like I don't listen to every single Rogan. I pick out the ones that I'm interested in, or if you hear, through the grapevine, you see a clip, something was interesting on there, I'll go down that rabbit hole. But I, I've got my little group of podcasts that I certainly listen to, but I don't listen to every episode. But I'd say guest for sure. And I know it's the same way with me. Like I said just a little earlier, like I get that it's guest based for the most part.
Okay. Yeah. Do you ever struggle as a dude who, I would assume you're the dude making the calls and making the connections, making the networking, lining it all up? Like you don't have a team of people behind you like Rogan or whoever. Do you ever struggle with like, who do I have now, or should I repeat this one guest, or I mean, how does that look for you?
Yeah. So I'm a one-man band. I do it all myself, and I know it probably looks and sounds that way more times than not. I had a guy today on YouTube comments. He's like, well, in this 2-hour video, you need to cut it up into sections so I can click and go here and there. And he's like, all these other podcasts I listen to do that. And I'm like, yeah, they probably have 5 people that work for them. You know, and I'm like, I get that. I wish mine was like that. But yes, I book everything. You know, there's really no method to my madness. Sometimes I will, because I record a lot on Sundays, and sometimes on Saturday afternoon I'll go, oh crap, I don't have anybody for tomorrow. But
oh my gosh, that's so refreshing. Yeah. We always do that.
I do that a lot, and I do it every single week. You know, I know a show is coming. So now some weeks things just happen, and it's really natural. But when I struggle the most though with guests is in the off season of tournament side, and when there's something doesn't just jump out at me, because really when I make my decisions, I'll be scrolling social media and see, you know, some post by an angler or by a company or you know, something like that kind of just triggers my ADD into going, oh, that's who I want to talk to this week. And I'm fortunate that I know a lot of those guys. Years, and so it you know, I can shoot somebody a text, or I can get somebody's number pretty quick, and I'm fortunate that people want to do the show. You know, I went through a stretch where some people wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, and we've overcome some of that now a few years later. But yeah, it's for me, it's random at times. I do have a list. I have a working list of like anglers that I would like to talk to, but because I have so many guys that I know really well that give me crap because I've never had them on. They're like, well, yeah,
I was just going to ask you that. Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, it's just never organically made sense. Do it. Right. And then I have guys that I've had on 6 times because they're really fun guests that I enjoy, you know, like a John Cox, Gerald, obviously, my buddy Brad Knight is somebody that's been on multiple times, Justin Atkins. Like I really enjoy having those guys on. So they've been a repeat offender. Fat Cat has been a repeat offender, you know, and always have fun with him.
Yeah. Fat Cat doesn't have a podcast, does he? Or does he have a podcast? Because if he doesn't, he should.
He loathes podcasts.
That doesn't make any sense.
Fat Cat would fight the guy that invented podcasting.
It doesn't even make any sense. He's like the most talkative, like engaging dude.
He hates a podcast. He hates listening to them. He hates going on them. Like when I get him to do mine, he wants to fight.
He's got this grumpy face the whole time.
And he's one of the most charismatic, like funny dudes I know. But he's like, oh, it's so stupid and it's so forced. I hate everything about it. He hates it.
Wow, that's so. I would not have expected that.
Yeah, that's funny.
Not a podcast guy. Doesn't listen to him.
One of my little side questions was always like the character that he is. Like, is he always that guy? You know what I mean? Fat Cat, is he?
I would say, like 80% of the time. I'd say 80%. You know, I think we all, like when you live that, because I get caught up in this too. You have to be on so much, like you're talking about like an NPFL day where you're on for like 6-7 hours live. And so you've got to keep up that energy. You know, it's really important. Like you can't, even if the fishing's slow, like you have to keep that energy up. And I think both of us kind of, and I don't want to say character because I'm certainly not a character, but we both kind of drop it and we're just quiet, which is rare for both of us at the end of those days. But for the most part, like I call him B. His name is Bernard, by the way, Bernard Newton. So
wow, I know it. Yeah, I would go by Fat Cat too.
Yeah, so Fat Cat was a character he created, but he is incredible at his shtick and the things that people love to hear. And dude, he can go in and out of that. It's a talent, like it really is. But he is even though it's a character, like he is that, like more times than not. You know, one of the greatest human beings I've ever had the fortune of calling a friend. I will say that.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's kind of how Michael Waddell is. He's very like authentic, but when like the cameras click on, he takes like that charming southernness and ramps it up a little bit. And then when the cameras are off, you're not recording, you talk to him one-on-one, and it's the same, but it's much more toned down, a little more,
I think that's fair about it. You could say that about everybody though, right?
I'm sure. Yeah.
Got to be in front of camera. And like Gerald's that way for sure. Like Gerald's always Gerald, but then there's G-Man. That's what Leanne.
Right. Yeah.
G, like he kicks it up a notch and he really starts giving you the goods,
Yeah. I like the hand thing you're doing. Like he's giving you. Yeah.
I don't know. He turns into this whole other creature and he's like, now listen.
Yeah. I love when he does that. But
I'm like, G, well, here's G-Man. Not Gerald.
There he is. Yeah. All right. Let's do life questions. Lola. Hit him with yours.
Yeah. Well, like, why do you love the outdoors, and where did it start? How did it start? Yeah, I just want to know that.
So all goes back to my dad and my granddad, really. My mom's dad.
That's cute.
But my dad he actually fished competitively, wanted to go pro in the 80s until my mom got pregnant with me, and he came back from a tournament and all of his crap was in the driveway. There's a story he loves to tell.
Oh my.
So he always had this deep passion for tournament bass fishing. But what was crazy is we never did that until I was like 12 years old. I never knew that world existed, to be honest. And but we hunted, we always hunted, and we would fish for bluegill and different things at ponds. But it was a really big deal if I got to go to like the Tennessee River, to go to the lake, Pickwick Lake or Wilson Lake, Wheeler Lake. And he had this little low aluminum boat, but we rarely got to go. And I'll never forget the first time he ever called. He was at work, and it's during the summer, and he calls and he goes, "Hey, a buddy of mine's catching a lot of big bass on Wilson Lake. I'm going to pick you up after work. I'm leaving a little early, and we're going to hook up to the boat, and we're going to go bass fishing." I was like, "Bass fish? What? We're going bass fishing?" Caught bass by accident, in ponds, but like we were going just bass fishing. And I felt like, who's a man now? Like, I'm a man. Bass fishing. And
oh my gosh.
Like, as we're fishing, he's like, they have these tournaments at night from like 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. and you bring in your 5 biggest bass. And I'm like, well, we got to do that.
Yeah.
Oh
wow. That's so cool.
That's first time we've ever gone. But I was 12 that summer when all that started. But just with him and listen, where I live, it's rural, and everybody, like when you're in school, everybody's turkey hunting. Like half of my classmates would take off if the opening day of dove season fell on a school day. Nobody was going to be at school, right? Like it was that way growing up in redneck southern middle Tennessee. So just grew up around it and made a decision though early on, like 13, 14 years old, like I'm going to do something in this bass fishing world. This is all I want, all I want to do. So that's kind of, give it to Pops, Marty D.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's great.
I love that.
Heck yeah.
Okay, well, I want to know about your family too. Like your social media shows your family a lot, which I love.
Yeah, a lot of pro bass fishermen it's just fish, or it's just gear, or not just pros, but fishermen it's just fish. Like
but a lot of your shows your family, and I super love that. So obviously your family is important to you. Tell us all about them.
Yeah, very much so. And that's always something I probably don't put them up there as much as I should, or I used to do. I've had a couple of incidents through the podcast. Things kind of got crazy. When people start messaging your family, it's odd.
Oh, yeah.
We've had a couple things like that over the years. So I probably don't post them as much as I used to, but certainly love my family. And I've got we got a mixed bag around here. We got a mixed bunch. Marissa and I, we've been together 10 years, and she had her 3 kids. And she's a little older than me, so I like to be sure that's public all the time.
Okay. Noted.
But she got started a little earlier having kids. And so my oldest, I have a stepdaughter, Harper, who's 22. And then I have a stepson, Charlie, who's 19. And then my youngest stepson is 16. And then I have 2 boys from my first try at marriage. With
my first try.
Well, you just never know, right? Like I love them, but when they might get rid of me around here. So But Hudson and Ryder, Ryder's my youngest. He'll be 13 in January, and Hudson will be 16 in October. So,
oh my gosh.
So my oldest and then my youngest stepson are like a year and a month apart in age. So we'll have a 16 and 17-year-old very soon. So there's never a dull moment in the Dunkin household, to say the very least.
Yeah. Are they all there?
So at some point every day.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So Harper actually, she's moved out. She's doing life on her own a little bit with still with probably a Venmo line to her mother every 5 minutes, I can imagine. I don't look at that, so my hair doesn't turn grayer and fall out more than it already is. But yeah, so Harper's doing her own thing. She's out of school and working, and then Charlie actually he lives here. Our 19-year-old, and then the other 3 boys. So obviously blended family, we share with our exes, and we've got like 50-50 split. So my boys are here 50% of the time, and so is Wes, my youngest stepson. So all the time. Yeah, there's listen, we've got 5 dogs, 5 kids. Like, yeah, we're gluttons for punishment.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah. Well, I mean, Lola and I, we have 6. We're a blended fam as well. We're a big pot of goulash with all the ingredients thrown in. So we have 3 boys, 3 girls. We have 1 dog, but he's as dumb as 10 dumb dogs.
Yep. He's Walter. He's an English bulldog. He's just a giant turd
idiot.
Potato.
But yeah, so I totally get, and our placement is real similar. So yeah, totally get what you're saying there. Yeah, for sure, dude.
And it's complicated at times, right? I think you guys
can really be,
especially early on. Like it's hard, kind of, it's fun and games. Like when we were dating, it's like, oh, they all love each other, and then you put everybody together, and it's like, oh, this is maybe a terrible idea.
Yeah, it does. It kind of gets crazy. I mean, that was the easiest part of our family blending. They all, I mean, the first day they met each other in person because they had FaceTimed and done that. But like the first
online game.
The first day of being together, they're like, we're siblings. Don't tell anyone any different. Like today we're siblings. And it was just the sweetest. And then being in a house together, that hasn't super changed. They still it's hard for them to do things separately, because if Dominic wants to go outside and skateboard, but everyone else wants to go jump on the trampoline, they're like, well, why is Dom not hanging out with us? And it's like, well, guys, it's okay to do your own thing
fight
too.
Like actual siblings.
They do. I mean, because they are actual siblings to each other and to us. Like, there's no line.
Right. That should be too.
They don't ever say like, "Oh, my stepbrother or my stepsister." Like, that's my brother. That is my sister. Like, so yeah, it can be messy at times, but
kind of cool messy.
Yeah.
Like fun messy. Like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like people always ask us when we have all of our kids, they're like, how do you do it? And then like one of our kids will bring a friend over or 2 friends. And so it's like, you have 8 kids. They're like, well, we already have 6. You throw in 8. We might have 9. I'm not sure. We haven't been outside in a while. I don't know. Like, you just kind of roll with it. And that's part of the fun too. And then even like our boat, like, because you run the Express, which has a giant front deck and stuff, and we have we have a 2016 Legend V20, which has a giant front deck, and so we'll go out on the water like and totally break all the like rules and have like 50 kids on it, not on the main motor, of course, like shallow lake with the with the trolling motor, and just I don't know, the craziness of it's part of the fun of it.
Yeah.
Embrace the chaos, man. Embrace the chaos. That's all you can do.
Yep.
Yeah, they're doing a good job at it for sure.
Oh, thanks Nate. Because if you all have been together for 10 years, that means Harper was 12, right?
Oh yeah.
So
been through all the life.
Oh yeah, right. I mean, our oldest Kennedy, she's 13, almost 14. We've been together for 4 years. Wait, 4.5 years. Yeah. And yeah, so I'm just thinking like age-wise, it's pretty similar.
And Lola is way older than me.
I'm so old.
She's like 8 years younger than me, actually.
Yeah.
just to be clear on that same level. So we're still on life questions.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Let's go.
You go.
Yes. So I want to know. Yeah. I want to know something about you that somebody else, or I guess other people, may not know about you. Something can be anything. It doesn't have to be.
That's a good
crazy,
one.
or it can be really wild. Yeah.
Because this dude's an open book, so I feel like you're gonna have to stretch.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
And Nate, I got a show I do every week. I got crap to talk about.
Right.
People don't know. Let's see. Oh, everybody's just tuning out right now. They're like, well, this guy doesn't know anything about himself. Man.
Yeah, it could be something that you like that people don't think you might like. Yeah, I didn't expect the food channel thing, and that's that kind of got me from college.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Like I've looked in like recent years at doing like online culinary school stuff. I swear, in like the last
that's dope. You should do it, dude. I know you're busy, but I mean,
add it in.
That's probably something that people don't realize. I think I'll say this, and this
oh boy,
yeah. I think people automatically assume that you're like I hate politics. I hate politics.
Okay.
I hate politics. I hate politics. My dad was involved in like local county politics when I was growing up, and I just hate everything about it. And I think what makes me laugh though is like in our industry, in the fishing industry, marine boating industry, whatever, people automatically pigeonhole you like one way or the other. And I just like hate all of it. But I think that people like I'll get texts from people like, yeah, right on, man. You said that this week. And I was like, yeah, I didn't mean
it politically
like that. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry. Like I got a lot of flack during the like the COVID stuff because I think we were all living a roller coaster with that, right? And I had friends like severely impacted by it and lost a couple of dear friends. And I would talk about it on the show, man. I would get so much crap. They're like, oh, you're just this or you're that. And so I think for me, maybe that's what people I try to be like make a point at times, but it has no political meaning behind it. And so I would maybe that's something that people don't. They try to pigeonhole you left, right, center, crazy, whatever. And I'm not anything. I would say like I don't like lean either way, to be honest. Politically, that was a deep answer, but that's something.
Oh, good.
But I feel like that's something that people like think they automatically know. Like they just. I'm like, I'm not a political person. If I ever make like a politically charged statement, it's more of a joke.
Yeah. You know? Right. Okay.
Thing.
Yeah. Well, our next set of questions is like Luke Dunkin specific questions. And I had one that kind of ties into what you just said. So I'm going to jump in order, Nate and Lola. I'm sorry. But one of the ones I wrote down is like, I don't even know if you're going to be able to answer this because I don't know if there is an answer for it. Like, I know you're not afraid to just plop out the truth, but the question that I wrote is like, why are you so straightforward? So things like the whole Mercer deal, or the way you went after that dude who was whole garden pretending he was somebody else, and Aaron Martin's old boat, which that was the worst part of that whole thing to me because I just loved Aaron Martin so much. Or making fun of ICAST and all the like game changers, and like Berkeley knocking off lures, which I make fun of all the time as well.
I was like, that's you.
I always, cause I'm like, dude, how much money does Berkeley have in the bank? Like, you can't pay somebody to come up with an original idea. Anyway, all of this stuff, like what makes you that straightforward? Was that a choice? Like, I'm just going to blah, or is it just who you are? Or because some people, even, I'm sure you've seen it, like in your reviews, people will be like, oh, he's a drama queen. And I think my review of your podcast was like almost combating that. And I said something like, the dude tells the truth, like it, don't like it, whatever, but you don't have to guess whether he's being honest with his feelings about something. Why are you that way?
Well, and I've been called a loose cannon. I got called loose cannon by a sponsor this week, which was funny.
Oh, wow.
I was like, dude, I feel like I'm way less of a loose cannon than I used to be. Older and more mature some days, I feel like. No, it's just me. It's me, right, wrong, or indifferent. Not to be, I'm gonna get in your face and tell you exactly how it is, man. Like, I'm not that necessarily that guy, but I feel like in life that it's very important to be as honest as you can be. And I think as long as you get everything out, and I kind of lived in a household like that, like my dad, you never had to wonder what he was thinking. And I would watch him, around his work and the company he worked for many, many years, and just still does. I watched how people reacted to him, like just being himself and just being honest. And I think that with the podcast, I think anybody that knows me outside of all this craziness, they know that's how I am. I mean, that's how I am at TH, right, wrong, or indifferent. There are a lot of people at TH Marine that aren't fans of mine because I just go, hey, yeah, that's not okay. I I don't know why we're doing that. This, not that I think I'm not saying I'm right. And I've said that many times on my show is I don't say this stuff because I think I'm spot on. Like I say it to get it off my chest.
Sure.
But I think people, no matter what it is in life, whether it's your everyday life, what you're into, whether it's music, fishing, which is why we're all here tonight together. I think people deserve to know though, like what's going on without fluff, without like this, you pull back the curtain a little bit. And I think what I saw when I really was, started putting this on YouTube, and because I was getting, a couple thousand downloads a week just on iTunes. And one day I just put a GoPro up and I threw it out there and I titled it. It was just an episode, and I titled it, whatever the case was, like the change in the fishing industry. I can't even remember what the first one that was on YouTube. It was like 2019, and it just like skyrocketed.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm not talking about like 20,000 views or anything, but like it was.
But
okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, wow, it's okay. And I think for me, the moment though, like the moment that was like, it's okay to be yourself. Because I will say this, going back, and I'm jumping all over the place, but when I started with TH Marine in 2005, I was clean cut, like clean shaven, and I always had facial hair, and I shaved, and I'm like wearing khakis, and I'm tucking my shirt in because that's what they're telling me to do. And I had one tattoo, and I would walk around with it covered up, and it was like I wasn't me for like a couple of years, man. And then all of a sudden, it was like, this is not, and whether it's you get comfortable with people enough to like be yourself, but like they had me painted as like this choir boy almost, and I'm like, whoa, hang on, time out, it's not me.
Hold on.
Yeah.
And so I started being myself, but I think going now, fast forward into like the podcast, I think once I've never been more nervous. I've never said this anywhere. I've never been more nervous than the day I hit upload on the podcast about going after Jim Wilburn from MLF. And it was after he had tried to get me fired and all that. And I did a random one on a Thursday, and I was like, titled it like MLF can't handle this podcast or something along those lines. And I truly, like, I can remember my dad and I was in October right after my mom passed away. It's a couple weeks later, and all that was going on during that time frame. And my bosses were like, hey man, just you do you, like you're fine. You have nothing to worry about here. We've got your back. He should not have reached out to us. And I was like, well, he should really enjoy the next episode. And they're like, hey, well, just, maybe don't do that. And I'm like, oh no, I'm going home to do that today. And so I filmed it, but I hit upload, and I will never forget. I was with my dad on a hunting lease that we have, and we barely have any service. And I was telling him like down there that I had done this and I had uploaded, and he's like, oh boy. And my dad always errs on the side of, I'm going to screw something up. That's just to be fair.
Sure.
I just think that's all dads. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're going to throw everything away. And we hit a spot on the farm where I had service on my phone. And dude, it was melting. It was like literally melting. And I had text, and I had YouTube comments, and I had emails, and it was insane. And it was all about the episode. And it was people going, thank you. People in the industry going, thank you for saying what you did and being honest, because I too have had this similar experience with the guy you're talking about. Thank you. And I've only done 2 that I will say had that kind of that kind of response. And the other one was the Mercer one, when Dave and I stopped working together, and I just kind of, spoke my piece about why I didn't want to do that. And it was a lot like that. A lot of industry people kind of, hey, a lot of surprises, reaching out, but I'd say October 2019, like just knowing, hey, you can be yourself and it's okay. But I will say, fair warning, and I've got a buddy of mine right now, a new buddy of mine, Slick Johnson. I'm just getting to know, and he airs it out. Alabama Bass Council. He's wild on TikTok, right? And he doesn't shy away from any controversy. But I've told him, and this will be my advice to anybody, is you can be honest, but you can also be honest to a fault. And what I mean by that, I started seeing people in my comments like, yeah, these people are messing with our leader and like really like weird, like that really, hey, time out. Okay.
Right.
Bass fishing. This is weird. And this is not a cult. And so I'm watching, but it really, and it got to me. It did like it got to me in like a negative way. I'm like, ooh, like this has gone too far, you know. It's all worked out, obviously. But I definitely I feel like I'm soft now in my old age, guys. I'm soft.
I would have you ever retracted an episode and not used it? You went too far?
No. I did have one. I got threatened to I had a sponsor that I parted ways with, and I made a comment that was not even bad. And they really got super butthurt about it. And they sent their lawyer to tell me, like, send me a cease and desist that I could not say name on the episode. And like I said, no, like it was not, like it was silly. And that's the only one that I've ever taken down. And I literally edited 1 minute out of it.
Wow.
So handle like what I said. And anyways, it was silly, but that's the only one. Now, have there been some that I probably should have? Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So I know you're not like into politics, and I'm not trying to talk politics at all, truly. Just prefacing this with that. But that's kind of like what I've wanted in American politics for the longest time, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican or, you know, independent. I want somebody who speaks their mind, where even if I don't agree with it, I believe that to them, they're telling the truth, that they're being honest about their feelings. They're not a puppet. They're not bought and paid for, you know, again, whether I agree with it or not. And that's why I've always, when I've talked to people, friends of ours, I'm like, you listen to Luke Dunkin, some say yes, some say no. And people who say no, I'm like, I don't get how you couldn't. Even if you don't like him, the dude's just being completely gut level honest. And I feel like you have to respect that, especially in a day and age now where everything is so balanced and trying to be so PC and so, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I think people, like you said, when there were comments like, oh, thank you. I think it's refreshing.
It is refreshing. That's the right
breath
word.
Of fresh air. It's like people can relate. And I think that's great.
You just don't see it.
Exactly. Because everyone's so nervous to say what they're thinking. And it's like, why? Because you're going to get canceled?
You're going to get canceled by people you don't care about anyway?
Seriously.
Well, and at the end of the day, like, guess what? The sun's going to come up tomorrow. No matter what you say, it's going to be okay. Like I dealt with the one. This is the one. Did I lose you guys?
Nope, we're here.
I still got you here.
Oh, I lost.
I don't know.
Something scared me. I thought I broke something.
We knew you were getting juicy, so it was just you.
Oh yeah.
We zoomed in on just you. We wanted to see your Pickwick map,
so you can really see my gray beard. So the one time I should have probably not went full send was against the Googans and Rob Turkla. And dude, that's when I had this episode, and he had fished NPFL, and it was this whole back and forth thing. And I just made a statement, and he like really did a pretty good chop job editing what I said and made it look like I was bashing veterans, which was fun for about 48 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And and that was not the case in the least. And anybody that watched it knew, but he put a video together, and he called me and he said, hey, this is what I'm fixing to do. And I said, well, I mean, you know, whatever floats your boat, Rob. I don't think that's a good idea. We did it, and the podcast went from like 4,000 views to like 50,000 views in like an hour.
Whoops.
And but it was people that did not want to be a fan. It wasn't that's for sure. But listen, man, it was a rough day, but at the end of it, like 48 hours, it was crazy. There was a lot of crazy that happened, but at the end of it, it was like he took his video down, and life went on. So I think I think too many people live in fear, and I just think that I would rather know who's who. I'd rather know what's real. And that's the sad part, the jaded part of me in the fishing industry is I do know the people that are not real at all, like that play a character or very much are not who they portray on camera in the least. And I just hate that. I always did. Like when I'm on the FLW tour or hanging around Bassmaster events, whatever the case is, or an expo, like I hate seeing something that and then and then getting like you get on social media and you see what the fans like think, like Santa's,
like, no, that's not it.
Yeah. And I'm like, I hate that. And so I just never want to be that, man. And look, there's probably somebody that knows me in real life that goes, oh, it's not Luke at all on that podcast. But I would disagree. Like it's me, right, wrong, or indifferent all the time. And like I do, like Lola said on social media, like I try to each opening the show, like I do try to, I love the hosts that I love to listen to. I like that they talk about their life and what they've got going on. And for me, it's real, therapeutic, cathartic, whatever, to get it out there. And like, I talked about my mom dying and the whole process of like how hard that was, her battle with breast cancer. Like I documented it all on the show. And I'll be honest with you, like it helped me get through it. Like,
yeah, that makes sense.
Because dude, I had so many people in the comments in my DM emailing me like, man, I lost my mom to this, or I lost my, and it like, it really connected me to people. And I think that, being brutally honest, no matter what it's about. And I feel that no matter what, because listen, I've talked about TH has been a rocky road with some of the things, like we've been bought and sold a couple times the last few years. And I talk about that. I talk about like, hey, it's stressful. Things change. And I think that for me, it's just like, I love hitting that red button and just talking about, I've got a general idea of what I'm going to talk about each week, but I love talking about, a little insight into my life, just because I think everybody's got crap, right? Everybody's they're not proud of. Everybody's got things that tick them off and things that they love. And, we're all the same, just doing the best we can at the end of the day, I think,
Yeah. That's awesome. I think that's the right word, cathartic. Just soul purgings, but even good, bad, ugly, scary, controversial.
It's not just a highlight reel.
Yeah, just let it rip.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate that so much.
I think it's a big part of why a lot of people are drawn to your podcast, because it's so real. People can relate. It's, even before you get into the fishing, the life stories and what you're going through. It's a lot of people out there going through that, and want to like to hear your insight and see how you're dealing with all that stuff and how family's treating you. So we appreciate all of it for sure.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question. Like, if you could rank your passions, all right? Music, bow hunting, or fishing. Sorry, I said that so weird. So those three, if you could rank them, what would it be?
Music. Music always trumps everything.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, and I know that's crazy, but music's actually. So I wrote my first song when I was like 8.
My heart.
And and I would write poems, and then I learned how to play guitar at like 10, so I would kind of piece it together.
Shut up, dude. Yeah, that's dope.
So music's always been like the number one, and like but I will say, like, being on the water is very much like I listen to music for, to after a bad day, bad week, whatever. Like I've got, certain things I listen to, and I've always been that way. Something bad happens. Like I've got a certain, a place I'll go musically, for sure. But yeah, if I had my, to pick, it would definitely, and then it would probably go fishing and then bow hunting. But but then, man, I get pretty obsessed with those freaking furry critters running around. I do lose my mind since I was like 10, every fall. But yeah, music, it's always been, and they run in parallel. Like they're very similar to me.
Oh yeah.
Both creative. Like you get to be creative fishing, with the podcast, obviously tying into fishing, but you get to be creative with that. But yeah, they run in parallels. Like I find peace in writing music, playing music live's a very, it's an outlet for me. Always has been. I love being on stage. I love playing. I love that energy. And then being on the water is kind of the opposite of that, but it is calming to me. Like I can go and not get a bite, and just being there and being on the water, like there's nothing like that for me. So those two are they're close, but I'll give it to music.
Okay,
that's great.
Wow. Also, I downloaded a Turnpike Troubadours album based on one of your podcasts, and that cat. I haven't listened to their old stuff, so I can't act like I'm all cool and whatever. But that new album, Cat in the Rain, is so freaking dope. The vocals are so honest and not processed and overdone, and like it's just like this perfect combo of like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like bluesy, country, sort of simple, but not necessarily musically simple, but there's not so many layers that it's like hard to listen to. And like, I feel like the Turnpike Troubadours are what Taylor Swift wishes her music sounds like when she does like those folky albums. And I don't mean that as a diss to Taylor Swift, but you know, like, I feel like that's like sort of like what that sound should sound like. And it's really dope. So thanks for, indirectly, well, you directly, you didn't know you're telling me, but directly turning me on to it. It's really dope.
So their lead singer, Evan Felker, he's one of the greatest songwriters of my generation. You know, we're close to the same age, and he's like Ernest Hemingway in country music. The way he writes, like it's crazy, absolutely crazy. But and my buddy Ryan that plays guitar for him, he's okay. He kind of sucks, but he's all right. Nate, I just thought of something. He said Taylor Swift. I'm going to tell you something that people don't know about me. I'm a Swiftie.
Oh, there it is.
All right.
Are you really?
He is Swiftie. Okay.
He's Swift.
Okay.
On Harper's 19th birthday, we went to see her at Nissan Stadium in Nashville. 10th row, baby.
Oh my gosh.
Stepdad of the century.
Yeah.
How was it? How was the show?
I had my like LED bracelets on they gave you. Yeah, shake it off. I was doing it.
Yeah. It was similar to the G-Man, but more like in a dance.
More like it was
like
more
the G-Man stance, but kind of bring the hands back and then just let it rip. Yeah.
Noodle dancing. Yeah.
I like it.
I do like me some Taylor Swift.
All right. Dominic played Taylor Swift in the car today. I was like, what the heck? What are you doing? He's like, Mom, I just want to listen to this one song that Kennedy was listening to.
Okay.
I was like, all right, cutie.
Yeah, it's really funny. A guy that I grew up with, didn't really grow up with, but I knew him pretty well in high school. His name's Justin. He's like the guy for this indie band called Bon Iver. And like we were buddies in high school.
Yeah. Really? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so
he's
then
from our hometown.
Yeah, so like
we live right there.
I used to be really into hip hop as a kid, and like
really weird voice.
Like I have a really weird voice.
No,
Justin does.
Voice.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the funny thing is, in high school, he didn't do all that like really pretty layered falsetto-y stuff.
Yeah, because he does that really high and then kind of
because he has a really deep speaking voice. Yeah. But anyway, like I would freestyle when their band would do stuff like Mount Vernon, whatever. So then it's super funny. I was listening to Bon Iver a long time ago, and my sister was like, "Isn't it so crazy that that's Justin?" And I was like, "What's Justin?" She's like, "That group. That's your friend Justin from high school." I was like, "Justin who?" She's like, "Justin Vernon." I was like, "No, it's not." Like I was listening to him, not even realizing that was like somebody like I knew fairly well. But anyway, he has like some songs with Taylor Swift now. Like he's on her stuff, she's on his stuff. Like it's so cool how small and connected the world can be at times.
Oh, no doubt. You're always like 6 people away from meeting somebody you can't believe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. True. And I just want to meet you.
I was just gonna say, and you're here, so we didn't need to go through the 6.
Yeah,
you're here.
Just Instagram messaging.
Expectations. Trust me.
Yeah. We're gonna at some point we're gonna get The Rock on here, and we're gonna be like, dude, we're stoked to have you, but we had Luke Dunkin on like a month ago, so
come on here. You gotta make me deal. He's got to do LBL too. We'll do a joint episode.
Okay,
that'd be great.
That'd be dope.
Get him for both, so we're gonna have to combine efforts here to corral him.
You may throw a little more weight than us, but like if he likes tacos, maybe we'll trip his trigger a little. Which he's got to like tacos.
Hey,
who doesn't like tacos?
So. I was gonna say tequila, taco. Like he's got the tequila. It's gotta go hand in hand.
Yeah, they should for sure. Hey, what you got, homie?
Yeah, so I got one. I want to know your coolest life lesson that you've kind of learned as being a father. So we're gonna throw that in there. You know?
Man, I would say, and this is cliche, but patience, patience.
For real.
Definitely. But I would say patience. And then I have a newfound, especially in the last few years, a newfound respect for my own dad.
That's
crap that I put him through, you know, when you're a kid and you're like, this guy doesn't know anything. And I think a lot of And now my kids are like, this guy doesn't know anything. And I'm like, but I do. I know everything.
But I do. Trust me.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, my dad knew everything. So I think that for sure, trying to be patient, try to be, for me too, I think it's really important that something I strive to do and I probably fall short, but, man, just letting kids know you're proud of them. Like, I think that's a big deal. And, they do a lot of kids are cool. Like, they make my beard gray for sure. My hair fall out, but they're just cool. I'm very
like these cool little humans.
Yeah, and they got their own deal. And like it's for me, it's really neat that my kids don't. I mean, they don't get me wrong. They love to hunt and fish. But they don't care about tournaments. Like they just want to go on a fishing trip with their dad. Like they love the
yeah.
They love everything about it. But they're like, yeah, okay, tournaments are cool, but we don't have to do it. And when I was like 13 and 16, I was like, where are the tournaments? Let's get tournaments. Like it was just my deal. And we fished a lot of tournaments. Don't get me wrong. That when they want to, they ask, but it's never been something that I've really forced on them at all. But like it's cool to just see what they're into, which is music now. My boys are really, really into music. Not playing,
listening.
Listening. Like they have really cool musical taste.
Okay, do they listen to music that you don't get or no?
Every now and then. I'm pretty like, dude, my playlists in my truck would it's
what's your playlist? All right.
Yeah, go for it.
You got Apple Music on or Spotify or whatever you use.
You can say that.
I'm liable to be listening to like Turnpike. I'm liable to be listening to Drake. I'm liable to listen to Soundgarden. I'm liable to listen to Nirvana and then back to like Whiskey Myers and then like Merle Haggard and then Tupac. So there's something about growing up in the South. And a lot of my buddies are this way. Like we would go ride, back roads and stuff when we were in high school. And you'd listen to like Hank Williams Jr. And then the next song on the mix CD was, California Love or whatever. Like, listen to Bone Thugs and Harmony. And then, have you guys ever heard, of Keith Whitley? And you're like, what? We're listen to that. All right. But yeah, I love rap though. Like, I think that's probably something else people don't like. I love good rap. Like if it's lyrically like, and good production, like I'm all in.
Okay.
Like anything that somebody put their heart and soul into that's well written, like I'm all about it. I don't care what it is. So to say there's a few things that my kids listen to that I'm like, don't get it. But for the most part, they listen to a lot of stuff that I do. Yeah.
That's cool.
It's fun going down the road and I watch Hudson. He's got Apple Music, my 16-year-old, and something will be on in the truck and I'll see him get his phone out and be on his Apple Music. I'm like,
got him.
But I never acknowledge it because then he'll just act like he did.
Then it'll make it weird.
Gosh, it's so hard though not to be like, I told you it was good. I told you it was a good song.
Yeah.
Turkey.
They listen to a lot of hip hop, a lot of rap for sure.
Okay.
They also like love country and a lot of singer-songwriter stuff that I do too. So that's cool. They hate my music, but
do they actually hate your music?
I don't say they hate it. They just don't. They're just like, whatever. Like they're
like you don't catch them bumping your stuff
or whatever. Like I'll be sitting around with the guitar and they're all just like, oh gosh, this guy, stop.
We've
heard it.
That's awesome.
Dude, back in the day, so a really embarrassing but kind of funny story. Back in the day in my hip hop group, you said Bone Thugs and made me think of it. The little hip hop group I was in, we were like a full blown live band, drums, guitars, bass, synth, whatever. We would do this stupid thing where we would switch instruments a couple times, like during the show, like we'd just rotate around because there's like 7 of us in the band. Anyway, we would do this one thing where if we were at a show that had like good lighting and stuff, we'd have the lights come down and like I was like the front man. People would ask me what I played and I'd say the microphone. I thought that was really clever. It's not. But, anywho, like we'd have the lights come down and like just a light on me, and I'm like, man, I've been thinking a lot lately about like life and death and like when you die, and I do this whole spiel like dead serious, like no smile on my face, whatever.
Oh my gosh.
And I'd say something like, and then you get to heaven and St. Peter lets you in, and finally, after all these years, you hear the song. You hear the song the angels are singing. Can you hear it? And I just sit there and let it marinate. Can you hear it? And then my guys behind me would be like, boom, 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 boom. And I'd be like, now tell me what you gonna do. And then we would just like, and I'd always like, we'd do this. We all had this like queued up. We practiced this. This is so embarrassing.
You're so cute.
But we'd always like, I miss my Uncle Charles, y'all, whatever. And like, it was so funny, but like maybe it wasn't. But to us, we were dying.
You're like, we are funny.
Yeah, we're really clever.
Listen, in my country band days when we were playing all over the place and we would do cover gigs, like these 4-hour bar gigs, we used to do, gosh, I cannot believe I'm saying, but anybody that's ever seen me out we do this. So, but we used to do like Steve Miller Band, like the Joker, to the tune of the Joker, and just rap over it. It's such a
dope
trick, but people would lose their like do gin and juice, and you do like just listen. My lead guitar player, one of my best friends, Andy Abernathy, like he can really he can do it. Like he's got like he remembers every word to every rap song from the 90s, and so he was always in that situation. Always.
That's like you with 2000s, but
I mean, 90s are a little early for me.
Yeah, but 2000s, like early 50 Cent and all that stuff.
I can
like every word.
That first album was so good. What was
it? Really was. Do Rich or Die Trying.
Yeah.
I always said if I made the classic, this is so embarrassing.
That would be your like dun, dun,
dun, dun, dun. No, if I can't do it, it can't be done. That song. If I can't do it, you know.
Yeah. Oh, you're on more of a deep cut, but for sure.
Oh, it's a deep. Yeah, you gotta go deep cuts, dude. Come on.
Yeah, you got to keep it a rich dude. Okay, so another funny. Now you got me thinking of crap. So one time I went to this thing in Atlanta where I used to live. It was so sad. There was this like youth pastor guy who was trying to talk to all these like inner city kids and whatever, and he was trying to be like relevant, I guess. And so he tried to bring up 50 Cent as like this like pillar of stuff can happen, but if you're strong, you can get through it. But the whole time he kept on saying 50 cents, like he kept pluralizing it. And so every kid there, like he lost credibility the moment he spoke. And he said, because 50 cents had a hard life.
And they're like,
and 50 cents was shot, but 50 cents didn't give up. And everybody's like, shut up, white man. Like nobody wanted to hear this dude because he kept on calling him 50 cents. Like he never said 50 cent or 50 cent. He said 50 cents.
My mom was never really pleased when I would listen to 50 Cent. And she got into my car and I had like this mixed CD and like Candy Shop came on.
Oh boy.
And I was like, oh no, Mom, it's like actually like a store, like a lolly, like, and she's like, I am
it's not innuendo,
I'm like,
Mom.
no,
He means
Mom.
like a dum-dum.
Yeah, not any innuendo. No. What?
I wouldn't.
I don't understand, Mom. What?
No, lick the lollipop.
Sorry,
Mom. Don't be weird, Mom.
Yeah, here, you want a sucker?
I had no idea this is bad, Mom. Chill.
Yeah.
You're making it weird.
Isn't the beat cool?
Yeah, you're making it weird. I just really like how it sounds. I like to dance. You're gross. Parents don't know anything.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
Okay, so let's go back. Luke, what's next for you? Where are you trying to take this? Like, do you want to be doing what you're doing, and you're doing a lot for the next however many years, or like what's 5 years down the road for you, 10 years down the road for you?
I hope I can still be doing all this craziness because I remember when the phone didn't ring and you didn't get opportunities like the NPFL, and like this year I worked for the Alabama Bass Trail. I got to MC some tournaments. I'm going to get to do that again next year some, and as well we're scheduled, allows it with NPFL. And there'll be a time where I probably need to say no more than I do now, but man, I'm just so grateful that I get the opportunity to do what I get to do, man. Like I'm a guy that I love to bass fish. I love music. I love the outdoors, and I love to run my mouth. So I never have trouble talking, and like I say that every week. I do sincerely. The fact that I see those numbers of people that tune in, and I see the comments, and I've gotten to know so many people that they call themselves low lifers, but I do like I've made friends, lifelong friends through the show, and so many opportunities to meet people that I would never get to meet just because of a crazy fishing podcast. Like it's remarkable to me. So I don't know, 5 years from now, if I had a goal, I would say it would be probably to be doing more. That's just podcast oriented and Luke Dunkin without selling boat parts, to be honest. Like there's a for me, like corporate America is not something I ever really wanted to, really be super tied to. And I worked for a family business for a long time. So for me, it would be like the ultimate, like I did it, like I did something in life if I could work for myself, and whatever that means, right? Like, is that podcast? Is that a lot of things combined? Like the NPFL, like different opportunities to MC things and sponsorship opportunities, we'll see. It's a lot of work keeping it all up, and I'm gone a lot, but man, I just can't, I can't say no, because like I said, it's just, I still can't believe that it's happening,
Yeah, that's really cool. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
I got a quick little question that kind of ties in a little bit. So you talked about like, grasping opportunities and sponsors and this and that. Have you ever been approached by a potential sponsor that you were like, nah, I'm good. I don't really see myself working with you guys. And I have names or anything. I just was curious.
Yeah. I've had a couple that just didn't make sense, and you get those that you feel like they're going to take it. And maybe that's not the right way to put it, take advantage of, just your audience. Right. And I'm not going to, and I've parted ways with a couple that I was with because I didn't believe in either the product or like the overall narrative of the company, like where things were going. Like I
that's respectable.
Hey, and I'm out of this contract because I don't like this. Like, I don't like where this is headed. And because I want people, like, if they take the time to listen to the ads on the show, and this might sound really, salesman of me, but if they take the time to listen, like, I want them to know that I actually do believe what I'm saying. Like, I don't promote anything just for a paycheck. Like, I'm not going to. Like, I tell you that I use the W sauce on pork chops because they sponsor the show. Like, I do that. Like, I actually, I try. It's funny. Like, I tried the sauces before I ever started working with them. Like, they sent me sauce before I signed anything with them. I'm like,
you're like, okay, I like this. I can say it.
Yeah, that's right. And it's funny, like, going back, one of my bosses, Ryan McCullough at Eagle Claw, he says, he's like, you're the only guy I've ever known that I called to offer a really good deal to fish. And it was back when they were doing the Skeet Reese rods and reels, and I fished those for a couple of years tour. And he said, you're the only one that said, well, yeah, you got to send me some to try first, because I don't think that I want to do that.
Wow. That's crazy. You're the only one, though, because that makes sense. How could you be the only one? Wow.
Well, he said all other fishermen are just like, this is the fisherman's handshake. Right. They're like,
right. Yeah.
Right.
Give me
open palm. Yeah.
And so, anyways, and but I ended up, I liked the rods and we worked something out, but it was funny. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that, because the offer was great. And he's like, we want you to be our guy on the FLW tour and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Send them to me. We'll see. Send me a couple to try. And anyways, but yeah, I've had a couple, Nate, that I've definitely said, I don't think. And look, I think that there are definitely, like, who I am. I know there are companies that won't touch me with a 10-foot pole. That are companies that also have employees that reach out to me and tell me how big of a fan they are of what's going on. Yeah, that happens a lot, and it's like, oh, cool. Would you guys like to work together? Because I like what you do. And it's like crickets. I've had that happen times as well. I've been dropped too. Like, I've been dropped by a couple of companies that just didn't like the overall vibe. If something got, kind of stirred up, there were a couple that were around during that Guggen time frame that elected not to come back because of the hate mail they received. Yeah. Whew, those Guggen fans, listen, you might want to take
how is it working for TH Marine? Because I think, from the outside looking in, TH seems really solid. The fact that they took your back, even in moments where there was immense corporate pressure to not do so, says a lot about who they are as a company. What's it like working there?
Man, it's a wild ride. I've been there almost 20 years, and that's crazy to think about. It's just, they hired me, they gave me an opportunity. I wouldn't be who I am by, a million miles if it wasn't for guys like Greg Bowie at TH Marine, who's he's the guy that hired me. I fished tournaments against him and met him, and I actually turned him down twice because I was like, I'm going to fish forever. make all kind of money. And he's like, well, what are you going to do to like, buy food and shelter because you're not making any money? And I'm like, fish.
Fish for shelter.
Call that guy back because I'm tired of you living here. So maybe you should be at like 22 years old. So I went to work for them, and I guess it's 18 years, but we'll round up. We're almost 20. But yeah, there's been a lot of changes over time. But guys like Bill Huntley founded the company. We lost Mr. Huntley this past fall. I learned so much from that guy because he was this like outstanding fisherman and salesman and just this character. And another guy that taught me that just being real is totally fine because he lived his life like, dude, he had no filter. He had no filter, and I loved it. I loved that about him. He could walk into tracker boats, sit down with Johnny Morris and just not give a damn who it was. Like if it was him or the janitor, he didn't care. And I love it. I've always kind of catered like, molded myself after that a little bit of, it doesn't matter. We're all the same. Like just because you have a title or $1 billion doesn't necessarily mean you're different than the rest of us. You can buy a lot more cool stuff, obviously. But yeah, TH is it's crazy to see. It was an $8 million company the year I started, which is a good sized company. But right now, everything total that falls under TH brand, and they've bought a lot of companies in the last few years and things. It's like a $200 million company. So
holy cow.
It's a trip to on a basis kind of see where we're at, and to think about the parts that they've developed since I've been there and to think about just where we are as far as how many employees they have now compared to when I started back in 2005, and there were like 8 of us other than like doing shipping and production. But for the most part, the main group, there was not that many folks. We were all answering the phones and taking orders and going on the road and helping ship stuff and helping build product. And it was crazy. But now it's like there's, people everywhere. So, but it's cool. And I wouldn't, a lot of the opportunities that I've had in the industry are because of them, obviously, and relationships I've forged through TH. And, but that working there gave me a lot of confidence. I mean, listen, they turned over, I'll say like $12 million worth of accounts to me when I was in my mid-20s. Big boat builders. And they're like, hey, you're responsible for this now. And so you grow up fast.
Yeah, I bet.
When it comes to that. And I learned a lot, on my own, just kind of, and it was funny that we all joke like it's survival of the fittest at TH for a long time. It's funny you hear that we have HR people now. We never had that. And they're like talking about these training programs and this and that. And I'm like, wait a second, we had training programs?
Wait a minute.
Like, am I being punked? For sure. But you just kind of learn, you learn trial by fire, and I think I'm better suited for that. I think that's why I can get up and talk to a big group of folks and never bat an eye.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because I had to.
Yeah. Are you part of at all on like development of stuff? Like what does that look like for them? Because I know they have bought like Blue Water and Atlas was its own thing before them too, wasn't it?
No, Atlas was TH developed Atlas in 2000, and it's been a while. Been out for a very long time now. 2010 maybe.
Yeah, it's been a while. But I mean, do you help at all with product development, or do they run stuff by you? Because that seems like that'd be pretty cool.
Oh yeah. So we have for the first time now for the last like year and a half, we actually have engineers, which might be funny for people to hear. You might think, oh, that's engineers, but
yeah, that's surprising.
It was redneck engineering for so long. But it was myself, Greg Bowie, a couple other sales guys, Bill Huntley. A lot of our products came from a need from a boat builder, though. Like they would say, hey, we need a drain that does this, or a live well spray head that does that. Little widgets is kind of their thing, their bread and butter, the boring part, or what people don't see. And then, but yeah, very much so. Product development ideas. Yeah, I've got a lot of things that have made the catalog that I came up with, and then for me, parts like testing product, right? Like the R&D phase. It's fun trying to break stuff because I'm good at that.
Yeah, right.
I can break something.
That's dope. Yeah, that's really cool. Where are we at? Sorry, I'm losing track of our little sheet of paper. This is awesome. All right. Yeah.
I don't know
either.
Well, I think we got it made.
Yeah, I just was gonna say, like, how has it been so far, like with the NPFL commentary stuff, doing all that. Has that really been, because I'll be honest, like watching the live stuff, it really looks like it's enjoyable. But how has it been as good as it looks?
It's a Category 5 hurricane. Like every time. So Mark Zona gave me a piece of advice when I first started. He's a friend and a mentor, and like when I first got approached by them, it was the first phone call I made, and he kind of coached me through some things, and then whenever I signed with them, because he told me what questions to ask, he's like, well, what are they going to be asking of you? Or he's like, are you going to be the Tommy Sanders or are you going to be the me? And he's like, those roles are vastly different because like Tommy kind of drives the show and has to be involved more in the production element of it with the director in his ear and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know. They just asked me to do live. Like, I don't know. He's like, well, you better find that out. That's a big deal. And so I do very much, I have that kind of Tommy role. And so, the production company we work with, they had done some live before, but we've all learned together, like what works and what doesn't. And we've all been in the trenches for 3 years. We did it on site the first year and that was chaos because of just technical issues and things. Like the show is a lot. I'm very proud of the show we put out. And I was in year one, but like we had hiccups with like you're set up in a Hampton Inn in nowhere, Tennessee. And it's just like the Wi-Fi cutting in and out. There's a delay on how you can commentate. Like there, we had some wild times in the first year, I can tell you, but audio stuff and different things. But then we moved it for the last event of that first season and until now, all in Appleton, Wisconsin. That's where our studio's at. So out Appleton. I fly up there several times a year, and I love that area other than when it snows. And but it's man, but another thing that Zona told me though, he goes, just remember, we've been doing this for however many years. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong.
Yeah.
It's live. And he's like, there's always a gremlin. There's always something. No matter if you think like we talked, you can set it up the same way, we can do it the same, and something will happen every time that the viewer might not ever notice, but we're running around in there like, holy crap, I can't believe this is going on. I can't hear audio. Yes, there's always something, but we pull it off with a really small crew. We've got, like 4 folks in the production studio, and compared to like MLF has like 20. Right. Has, I have buddies on both sets and like it's huge. And so we work off of a smaller crew, a very professional studio though. Like I think it would blow people's mind. The studio we work in, it's very cool. Technologically advanced. But man, it's Fat Cat always says embrace the chaos, and I said that earlier about my kids, but that's Fat Cat saying is embrace it. We try to be as transparent. If we have a problem, something goes wrong, or we flub something, like we try to make light of it because I just think you should. Like you shouldn't try to act like better than making a mistake. Like if we say something dumb, we call each other out. Like that's what makes it fun. You mess something up in the intro, and you'll see me over there like writing out what I'm going to say. And I hope my bosses don't listen to this, 5 minutes before when I'm doing my prep work before we go live for but I kick off the show and that's the most intense part of our whole day is the opener and then the close. Cause the rest of the time camera's really not on us and the guys are fishing. So the rest of it's kind of easy for the most part, as long as you hit your marks for commercials and things. But Fat Cat, if I screw something up, oh my gosh, he's relentless.
You have it.
Yeah, he's on air though, and we have that relationship where that works. But dude, I love it. Like it is, it's my favorite thing other than the podcast that I get to do, other than actually bass fishing. Like I love, it's long days. Certainly not digging ditches, but like it's a lot of work, man. And at the end of one of those events, like we're so drained mentally because you. It's just so uber focused for hours on what's going on.
Lots of hours.
Everything. Yeah. And it's a lot of fun though, man. And it's been cool. Like I hate not being on site for the events, but I do like, I've loved getting to know that area up there in Appleton and we've made friends up there and things. And so that's like, life's all about experiences. So like if it went away tomorrow and I never got to do it again, I'd be just forever thankful that I got to do it.
That's cool. That's a great attitude.
Appleton's not far from our house. Well, I mean, it's like 2.5 hours. 3 hours?
Well, it's near Green Bay.
Yeah.
And we have family up there. So if you need advice on some food or some whatever up there, you holler at us. We'll get you hooked up.
Cheese curds and some local beer.
Yes, sir. There's a lot of that up there for sure. Okay, so let's wrap this up a little bit, Luke. And again, times a million. Thank you for doing this. But we haven't really talked fishing at all. Let me just ask you a single question, unless Lola and Nate want to hop in. What's your favorite way to catch them? Obviously, you're good with a jig. You have an awesome jig that you've designed. Baitworks.com, right? WRX.
Yep.
So you get it. The LOB. But what's your favorite way to fish?
Man, I would have to say sight fishing. That was one of those things that I got bit by that bug when I was super early on in bass fishing, and not just like bed fishing. Like if I can see them in any kind of where they're cruising for bluegill or whatever the case is, and whether that's bass fishing or saltwater fishing for redfish or tarpon or whatever, some of the cool things that I've been able to sight fish in my life. Like I love that. It's hunting and fishing at the same time. But yeah, if there's ever a time of year though, when they get up around the banks that I could lose everything from my wife to my job to everything, I'll just lose my mind for about a month. It's a guarantee. Like I'll lose my mind. But that's, again, it's like the music fishing thing. Second to that, but very close, would be like schooling fish. Like I love the fall when it gets tough. And I've spent a lot of time like trying to trick schoolers, and I love it. Like there's nothing more rewarding than like when a fish is like a 5-pound bass is chasing a minnow that's super tiny, and you figure out some little weird way to catch them. I love that too. For sure.
Yeah, that is super fun for sure. Are you if you could pick one, largemouth, smallmouth, spots, what's your favorite thing to go after?
Man, I would have, out of those three, I'm a spot guy, believe it or not. I like spots. We've got the Coosa River's a couple hours from here, and then of course Smith Lake. Pickwick has a lot of big spots as well. But I've always had a weird thing for spots. Smallmouth too, but spots are just, man, they're just, they bite. Like they like to bite even when weird conditions. They like to eat.
Yeah, what was that? I saw a video that I think it was your video recently with G-Man. Was that his nephew, Trey, right? Where y'all were fishing a derby and like you kept on catching spots, like sort of like, wow, like you're sort of surprised by the spots you were catching. And I mean, we don't even have them where we live. So that's like a different thing altogether for us.
Yeah, and there's so many different strains of them. They're so interesting. Like there's so many. I mean, the Coosa River varieties different.
What is the Coosa as a genus, right? Of itself.
Yep, and you catch them like in 30 feet of water on a drop shot and in 3 feet of water on a buzzbait. Like they're bizarre critters.
Weird.
Yeah, like they are cool though.
Live in that river grass, and like you can catch them square billing, chatterbaiting, and then you'll catch them finesse fishing. Like they're a neat fish.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really rad. All right, let's wrap it up. Oh, sorry. Go, Nate, please.
No, I just was gonna say that they are really, really cool. I caught them one time fishing a bass open as a co-angler on Table Rock, and we got into a school of spots. That was just, man, it was so much fun. It was every other cast with a little ball head jig and a a Kitech or something. It was so much fun. It was every cast just throwing it up there and bang, bang, bang. Yeah,
they're special, man. You guys will have to get down here, and I'll get you out on Smith Lake, and you'll love spotted bass when you leave.
Smith is the destination, right? I mean, for spots, isn't that they're talking about on the Big Bass podcast? Like, isn't that like the spot? Isn't that where all the records come from and stuff?
No, I mean, for fish over 5 pounds, I would say no. There's a ridiculous amount of 3-pounders, but and you see 5s. But for me, if I was going to pick like the spot to go catch giant spots, it would be Lanier.
Okay,
Lanier is muy bueno.
Lanier is
muy bueno.
Look at him, he's eating Spanish on Tackle and Tacos. I love it right now. That's perfect.
Ridiculous on Lanier sometimes.
Yeah, that's dope, dude. Okay, so how can our 13 listeners find you? Social, website. I mean, for real talk, like iTunes, your music. Like, where can we find you at on all the fronts?
On all the music's on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, I think, as well. And then the podcast is the same. All the audio platforms for Low Budget Live. And then on the YouTube channel, if you want to stare at me while I stare back at you and talk about bass fishing, it's on the Dunkin's Traveling Circus YouTube channel every Monday. And I'm throwing in some Thursday shows because I'm a glutton for punishment.
Oh, perfect. All right. Perfect. Well, Luke, thank you again for being on our show. You are as real as we hoped you'd be, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I had a great time. I have to get y'all on it.
Yeah, heck yeah, dude. We'd love that. So, all right, brother. We'll bug you later. Thank you again.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, we appreciate it. Peace out.
So that was, I bought them both out. I bumped Luke and then I bumped Nate smooth out of the frame.
Or did he hit remove?
I think I think I hit remove on Nate and Luke. Yeah. So sorry about that, Nate. We're not trying to get you out of here. What a cool dude, man.
All good.
What a cool dude, man. I mean, honestly, like exactly how I thought he would be.
Yeah. He was so nice.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Southern.
Yeah, that was really cool. We kind of we kind of talked about it a little bit before he came on, and like you said, it was exactly what we hoped for, and kind of a breath of fresh air, like always. So
yeah, and I like what he said too, that he's not necessarily trying to like be political. He's not necessarily trying to take a stance on things. He's just barfing out what he believes, and he's vulnerable and honest and humble enough to be like, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just sharing what I think, and I don't know how you could not respect that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's
yeah.
It is exactly
like
what you guys
said.
Go ahead. Sorry.
You guys.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say it exactly like he said. Like having all the guys kind of have different views on the sport of bass fishing on his podcast, and kind of talk them through stuff, and let them know, hey, your persona or the way you see this isn't quite right, and here's why, and letting those guys speak their voice a little bit is awesome for him. So
the fact that he would have somebody like, let's just say that what Nate's referring to, if you listen or watch this whole podcast, James Watson, who is a super stick, designed some awesome lures. He did not design, contrary to what people believe, he did not design the Whopper Plopper, although he may be the most skilled with it on the planet. But a lot of people think he designed that, but Larry Dahlberg did. But anyway, he had James Watson on after, let's just say, Lola's wearing Nike shoes right now. And then Lola comes on the podcast later on. It's like, hey, I need to correct you. I was actually wearing Adidas. And he, he's willing to have somebody on the podcast to check him for being wrong. That's pretty dope. Like, that's pretty humble. Like, that's pretty authentic. I respect the crap out of that.
Yeah, that's for sure. He ain't to that riffraff level where he blows up till I don't know nobody.
My mango. Yeah.
Please.
With the shark teeth. Yeah. All right. So let's get up out of here. It's hot as crap in our garage because we have to turn the air conditioning off when we record because we don't have central air in the garage. I mean, who are we, peasants? So we have to turn it off and then we melt. And this is easily one of my favorite conversations. I feel like, real talk, Nate, Lola, if we had Luke in studio, this podcast would be 6 hours long.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt.
It would just be so fluid.
And we might have to take him up on that March trip down to Smith Lake or something, because that is my birthday month, and who doesn't want to go down and catch spots? So
yeah,
let's go.
Let's get it on the books. All right, everybody. Well, thank you like always to everyone checking us out for the first time, or you listen all the time. Please, if you would be willing, give us a positive review and some kind words on iTunes. It really helps us a lot. And we are so appreciative to anybody who takes the time to listen to a few knuckleheads who actually care about tacos and care about fishing, and you get to interview some cool people. So no matter what's going on in your week, your day, this moment right now, it will be better, and it will always get better because positivity is worth the effort. It truly is. We'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Peace.